Hello from Safonovo. This is a podcast Pigeon of Peace where we do discuss awesome skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about programming, and let's start with the definition.
When we talk with people, it is quite easy because we share the same language. For example, you know English and Russian, so we could use both languages to communicate. And sometimes even we mixed words because on some terms it would be much easier to explain. For example, like not a flying mouse, but bat, the bat, or something like this. The same, for example, Scrum, Agile, or Sputnik, or maybe Balalaika, or Matryoshka, and so on. Programming, this is a way how to communicate with computers, with machines, with robots, sometimes with intellect, and it could be used to write a script, to write the machine code, or even inline programming, to give some instructions in very strict form to the computers, and they will fulfill your instructions to provide you the result you expect under the algorithm you have been using.
And when we speak about programming, well, obviously it will be a lot of like a structure and stuff there in place, but maybe we just can cover fundamentals, like what is the program, like what kind of operands or what kind of commands it could receive in order to achieve the result.
Yeah, no one think about it, but we also like act as a computers. For example, symbols. This is a letters which we use to write something down. For example, 26 English letters, then dot, period, and some other stuff. Then we have some operands, as you pronounce. For example, it could be like double comma. It's okay to say?
Or column.
Column.
All double comma is also good.
Okay, so it means that something will go because of something. And when we pronounce, usually we also use not long sentences, like 5 to 7 words. The same would be in computers. The computer will read the code on language which it could understand, and the length is limited. For example, usually it's 127 symbols, not more. Then you will use some special constructions. For example, it could be cycle, repeat until, or for, begin, end. And also it would be like, I don't know how to say, ветвление.
I would say
Weaving.
like or options or branching.
Options, for example, branching, it would be case of 1, 2, 3, or if then else, and something like this. There is also could be some containers like procedure or function, but anyway, it is not so hard. When you use English language, you limited something about 1 million kind of words and their combination. When you use English, Russian, you are limited with 2.5. If you, for example, use something like assembler, you have just 56 commands. But they're quite easy. Programming, it's like working with a child. There are not a big command, something like you should go to the shop to buy some eggs and machine oil and also napkins, and then you could be at home till 3 o'clock. It is very small steps. Something turn left, turn right, do a small step in direction you're looking, and something like this. So when you make programming, you should create a lot of different blocks, which, for example, will help you to go to subway, or maybe to use some tools, and maybe to read the book and something like this. So you use container after container and after container. For example, you could create a routine, how you wake up from the bed, then how you wash your tooths, then how do you hair brushing, how you shave, and then you will make your daily routine. Wake up, toothbrushing, and something like this. And then you could create routine for whole day, and then you will do your week. Day, holiday, day, holiday.
Well, actually, you touched on quite interesting, and I do believe a big topic too, the architecture, like how to think about, like putting your code in achieving the result, because at certain point of time, even if it's like a small task or quite a small result that you are trying to achieve, what's in the box that actually performs all of the action, it could be quite complex, and it could be have like a pitfalls or some areas where you don't know. So how to approach the architecture? What could be the patterns? What could be the thinking? What could be the ways of implementing it to make it actually work?
You know what's funny? When you give, for example, command to your pet, to your child, to your subordinates, you expect that they will understand you because you have been using this for several times. For example, read this book and give me an abstract. Or for example, make calculation of this model till Friday. Or for example, can you please prepare black porridge with, I don't know, with onion and mushrooms. But to make programming, you should understand that there are several type of machines. First, they do not respond until you ask. For example, you will give with some microchip command. You should multiply matrix A to matrix B and put the result in matrix C. And it could fulfill it, but for example, this machine has no screen. And then you should ask it to print or to beep, to make some signals how it goes, and then you should check results by yourself. Or for example, use different algorithms or different machine to compare how it works. For example, right now I'm working for Tefal and I program IE vacuum cleaner, and even today I have been late for 5 or 6 minutes. I understand it from application I am developing because my vacuum cleaner suddenly started to eat curtains. So it has lidars and some sensors, but something I done wrong, and my vacuum cleaner was trying to карабкаться, to go down, to climb up on the curtains, and this is exactly mistake which was done by me. And I was trying to understand. I was not just give this program to the vacuum cleaner, but I was making debugging. Make this step, okay, it's turned down. Make this step, I will go. Okay, you are going too close. You should be stopped 3 centimeters from the very first sign of the curtain. So I change the constant, and now it's working well. So second type, when you could observe what is going on. For example, you program a car, and suddenly you will see that this car would go through the small bird, and then you will check. But what was seen by this car while this small bird was sitting on the road? And then you understand that your car would mix it with the bricks. And you will explain, okay, I should not be using this as a big object recognition. I should switch to small object recognition, and so on. So sometime you should check by yourself how your programming was performing on the microchip. And sometime you will use some screens or maybe some moving parts of something, and you could debug how it's going on.
Well, then we go to more like a human part, because at certain point of time, you actually might be not working alone, and the instructions that you prepared for the machine also could be used by someone else. So what might be the rules of conduct or like a rules of code, so that whatever you put there is actually understandable? Or maybe it could be like a small, I would say like a manifest explaining how this thing works without diving into details.
You know, it's funny, but several weeks ago, I have trouble while programming something with Valery Khlebnov. We were writing a program which would compress the pictures. And suddenly we found that some pictures was done in quite rare gammas, so it couldn't be converted, and it gives some errors. Then we asked to our another people, Ramil Mamedov, to check what we have right. And suddenly I saw he put our program like 300 lines, quite easy ones. He put it into the IE, and then IE make remarks for each line. And you know, it was quite impressive. But at this point, I was thinking, okay, Ramil now using IE to understand how all programs works. In my time, like 30 years ago, it was impossible, and we were knowing how machine thinks. So sometimes we could debug and program in our head. For example, it was like 1 hour per week you could be accessing machine, so you forced to think how it would work without any stop, without any error. But now you could use AI, and now you are not forced to understand what is going on, and it's pity, because if you know how computer think, you could hack it, you could use some disadvantages for your advantages.
Well, actually, it was one of my questions, but I will try to maybe, like mix and match it because I remember when I was studying programming, at a certain point of time, I realized that there is like assembly where you can give like a direct instructions. Then there might be like a more, I would say, it's called like high level languages. So it's more like an interpreter that would actually take whatever you want to do and then give it to the computer. And nowadays, even now, like I was trying different tools to see, basically you just give your wishes to computer and then just like expecting something, but you don't know what is going on inside, and whether it creates the dangerous, like in the both ways, for the profession, for the quality, or maybe like even for the technology itself, when like you sometimes you actually might be bringing in the garbage and you might be expecting, I don't know, like candies or apples going out of there.
There is a saying that bad code could not create sweet from the jam, but there is a polite one. Okay, yes, you're right. There are two ways how to deal with program code. One is entrepreneur and interpretator, and second is compiler. And what is difference? Entrepreneur, interpretators, it works until the first error. Compilator would show all of them. And some people like first way because they say, okay, I will correct just one mistake per one time. But I was working a lot with assembler, and it is just compilator and basic also. But if you will use like Pascal, Delphi, C, Go, Rust, Lang, Python, Go, and Ada, Lisp, Prolog, Cabol, Fortran, they all made in compilator mode, so they will show you like 5, 6 or even more mistake. And sometimes you see those mistake and you understand, okay, this show me just one error I done several strings below, so it's quite easy. But if you use interpretator machine, it will show you error and you will correct it, and sometimes you understand that after several cycles that you are correcting not the cause but the consequences. So for me, it's much easier to use compilator when it shows all the errors. And sometimes when you will get a new programming environment, you will get much better compilator. And for example, you have like, I don't know, Delphi 3.0, and it will show you that there are no errors and no warnings. But then you will go to 3.1 and then it will show you, Maxim, okay, there are no errors, but you have some warnings. For example, right now I'm working as a light member of FAR group, and sometimes we make compiling and we see that, for example, SQL or some other libraries, they were changed and they have much more debugging strings, and suddenly something what was working for 2 or 3 years shows as a warning. And when we go deeper, we found, yes, okay, in some cases it could cause an error.
And maybe we also move slightly even more to the social part, because I remember when I was in a school, I actually was trying to like create some programs on Delphi, and it helped like in a long way because you understand the structure, etc., etc. And now what I see, it's kind of not really the trend, but like I would say like a different science. When people actually do understand the coding, people do understand like what exactly like they put inside of the machine, at least on a higher level, it helps with the discussion. It's actually like helps maybe with some of the decision making, or it helps with the like at least understanding what is going on, even though they're not even like a technicians, let's say like a marketers or whatever. So is it like a common trend that people actually kind of becoming so-called, I would say like a wannabe programmers, just like to understand the code, or maybe just like for the sake of time, maybe it will be disappear in the future?
I will tell you a story. While I was going to the school, my school has no computer class, so I was asking another another teacher from another school to give me a chance to sit on the computers, and he gave me under some circumstances. And also I was saying that I would write several games, and I wrote chess and lines, and I don't know how to say шахматы.
Also chess.
Also chess, but easy one. Okay, and when I was working on basic, it's just was working, and it I like to do this, but it was just for fun. Then I was entering the Kyiv Polytechnical Institute, and I found that in my group there were some guys who was after the college or after the army, and all of them were sitting with computers for 1,000 hours. And they not just were writing programs, but they were trying to do those programs as fast as it possible and as short as it possible. For example, I will do some kind of sorting or some kind of operation for 12 steps, but they were eager to spend even 2 weeks, but to make for one step less. And you know, I was infected by this. Then I was also attending some competitions. For example, you could create program not more than 100 bytes or 256 bytes or 512 bytes. And you know, if I will show you those programs, even right now, you will say, wow, it's magic. But the reason is because we were thinking as a computers, we were thinking as androids, and it's really help in your life. Sometimes I solve problem by using programming thinking, but I couldn't explain how I do this to people who was never programming. And second, I'm afraid that people will think that you could be a troubleshooter just if you are an IT geek. This is not true. So sometimes I do not use programming just to find another way to solve the problem, not to give very big importance to the programming skill.
Well, I do believe it actually was a nice segue and explanation how this thing could be useful and could help to make this world a better place. So we reviewed the skill of programming and how it could be helpful for you. Stay in peace.